Welcome to the Foundry by Forge College. Today, we're sketching out the absolute master engineering blueprint for compressed NFTs on Solana. Now, if you've ever tried to manage massive amounts of digital assets and felt like you were just completely drowning in a sea of metadata, like literally sending out an SOS from your keyboard, well, you're in exactly the right place. In today's explainer, we're focusing entirely on project architecture for cNFT collections. We're going to lock down our architecture right off the bat so that everything else falls into place perfectly. Here's a quick look at our game plan for today's explainer. We'll start with a brief introduction, jump into the sorted mailroom metaphor, walk through the workflow stages, weigh out our compression trade-offs, lock down deployment and monitoring, and then finish up with your capstone prep. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Introduction to cNFT Architecture. Section 2. The sorted mailroom metaphor. Okay, so before we write a single line of code, we really have to map out exactly where our metadata, proofs, and records live. If we don't, your capstone project is going to turn into a totally unmanageable tangle of data. And since dealing with compressed state and Merkle trees can get super abstract very quickly, let's ground this with a mechanical metaphor, the sorted mailroom. Picture a massive, bustling postal system. It's highly efficient, right? But if the clerks don't follow the rules, packages end up in another dimension. This perfectly illustrates the single most important distinction in our entire system: physical possession versus a quick reference index. The physical sorting bin is the undeniable truth, just like the blockchain. It's totally secure, but it's a bit clunky to dig through. Then you have the clerk's logbook. This is your off-chain database. It's fast, it's cheap, and it's incredibly easy to search. But, and this is a massive but, it can really lag behind physical reality if our clerk has way too much coffee and loses track of the bins. Let's map this directly to our Web3 architecture. The letter is your cNFT asset. The bin is the Merkle subtree anchor. That's the undeniable physical footprint resting right there on Solana. The logbook is your fast, off-chain ownership index that's feeding your front end. And reconciliation? Well, that's the backfill repair job. If the clerk misses a bin update, you absolutely need those reconciliation jobs we practiced in the previous explainer to step in and repair the timeline. Moving right along, Section 3, the workflow stages. So, transitioning from our physical metaphor over to our digital schematic, we can break our system down into distinct, totally manageable steps. First up, a client submits a mint intent to a highly reliable queue. Second, the pipeline converts those intents directly into Merkle leaves. Third, we generate a route and securely anchor it on chain. Fourth, we materialize the compact proof. Fifth, we ingest those proofs straight into our index. And finally, step 6, our front-end queries that index. It is a beautiful, highly predictable pipeline that completely prevents your code from becoming deeply coupled. Now, by treating every single one of those steps as a recoverable unit, we can attach strict metrics to monitor exactly where our mailroom might be backing up. The minting queue produces intent records, right? So we monitor its queue depth. The compression pipeline creates leaves, so we watch leaves per second. The anchor service produces anchored routes, so we track anchor latency. And the indexer stores proof material, meaning we need to keep a very close eye on index lag. Mapping it out like this makes tracking down a bottleneck incredibly simple. Next up, Section 4, State Compression Trade-offs. System design is literally all about trade-offs. State compression massively reduces on-chain storage costs, but it shifts that burden straight over to your off-chain indexes. Because of that, you have to answer this fundamental question: who asserts ownership? Think about it. When a user opens their wallet and asks, "What do I own?" do you force a real-time check against the cryptographic truth of the chain, or do you trust the clerk's fast but potentially outdated logbook? If you decide to go with the faster, optimistic route, you absolutely must have robust backfill jobs ready to repair any drift. Let's weigh the two options. On-chain authority gives you rock-solid, real-time correctness, but it's gonna increase the cost and the latency of every single query. Off-chain authority, on the other hand, is blazingly fast and scales beautifully for consumer apps, but it treats on-chain validation merely as a repair mechanism. Most high-throughput systems actually choose the latter, but they build heavy monitoring to keep it safe. You also have to choose exactly how you want to store metadata. Do you bloat the clerk's logbook with every single detail, or do you just store a reference pointer? Look, if you store the full URI right in the index, front-end reads are super simple, but your replication costs are going to go through the roof. Using compact pointers keeps your index lean and cheap, but it adds an extra network hop at read time. You can definitely mitigate that with some smart tactical caching, but it's a major structural choice you've got to make right now. Finally, you've got to tune your batch sizes. Think of it kind of like choosing between a massive cargo zeppelin or a swarm of fast delivery drones. A larger batch, the zeppelin, saves you a ton of money because you're spreading that on-chain cost across thousands of leaves. But a user waits a lot longer to actually see their NFT. Small batches, the drones, give the user instant gratification, but you're paying network fees way more frequently. Finding that sweet spot is what keeps you within budget without annoying your users. Section 5. Deployment and monitoring. Those optimistic architectural choices we just talked about, they are only safe if you have the operational safety nets in place to catch errors. These metrics right here are your early warning system. For example, if index lag exceeds your threshold, meaning our mailroom clerk is basically falling asleep at the desk, you need an alert to trigger immediately. Don't wait for your users to start complaining on social media. Watch your Anchor transaction failure rate for network congestion, and definitely monitor that cache hit ratio to protect your database from getting absolutely slammed. Now, here is an absolutely crucial truth for Web3. Rollback does not mean deleting data. I mean, you're on a blockchain. Deleting isn't exactly an option anyway. Instead, it means using compensating actions and item potency keys to safely replay events. If your pipeline fails mid-batch, you use sequence numbers to replay from the last confirmed good checkpoint. You validate the Merkle roots, and you only re-emit indexed events once verification is totally successful. And finally, Section 6, preparing for the capstone. So, with this blueprint in hand, you're officially ready to build. You'll want to bring these mapped metrics and recovery controls to our upcoming explainer, Building the Minting Pipeline. Seriously, don't show up empty-handed. Make sure you have your target mint throughput, your acceptable time to visibility, and your cost budget completely written down. Those exact numbers are going to drive the concrete parameter choices we make when we write out the producer stages next time. So the ultimate question for your capstone project. Will your clerk's logbook keep up with the physical sorting bins, or are you going to need to hit that replay button? I really hope this schematic has given you a rock-solid foundation. By mapping your architecture out like a precise pattern diagram today, you are absolutely going to save yourself massive operational headaches tomorrow. Be sure to visit forge.college to dive even deeper into this subject and master a ton of other fascinating Web3 topics. Thanks so much for joining me today, and happy building.